Hello everyone, my name is Elizabeth Gutierrez and I'm going to be doing a brief demo introduction to using Portfolium. And within this video, I'm going to be talking about the importance of transferable skills and updating and maintaining your profile so that way recruiters are able to scout you out the moment that you have your things uploaded, and so that way they are able to see what experience that you have, regardless if it was work or volunteer experience. So I'm going to go ahead and begin by sharing my screen. So I'm not sure who is familiar with Portfolium, but I'm going to go ahead and start from just as if you're logging into My Coyote. You're going to go ahead and sign into your My Coyote account. And once you do, you're going to go ahead and see Blackboard on the screen. It's going to be this icon right here. Once you click it, it should redirect you to the Blackboard page. And once you're there, you're going to go ahead and look toward the left side under Tools, and you're going to find Portfolium right here. After this, you go ahead and click on your name, and it should direct you to your profile page. All right, so this is what the profile page looks like. This is what it's going to be. This is the format that it's going to be like. On the left, you're going to have your overview, so your education, your work experience. It's going to show your profile's strength. So as you go along, updating and adding things to your portfolio and adding things to your experiences, your introduction, your profile strengths increases as you move along and as you keep adding material. So for example, for myself, what I would need to do in order to improve my profile strength is to add my major, my graduation year, and add 3 clubs, affiliations, or programs that I am involved in. And below that, you're able to add your skills. So the skills shouldn't just be limited to your work experience. I would say that with your volunteer experience or even with your coursework or academic experiences, I would recommend that you put the skills that you know how to use. So for example, for myself, I put voiceovers, Google Slides, JSTOR, EBSCOhost, because I would think I'm very skilled in knowing how to use databases, so I use that. Writing and editing video. And even though my editing skills aren't as what they used to be, I am still video tech savvy, so I still have put that in there just because I did have it. You have the option to put your resume. I haven't yet because I want to make sure that my resume is up to date and making sure that all the objectives are aligned with what I'm looking for. You're also able to add the people that you may know. So anyone, say for example, if there's someone that you look up to and you want to learn more about their position or how it is to be in the organization that they are in, you can look up people who have the same major as you are, or even a certain profession that you're seeking to attain when you're done with college. This is a great way to find people where you are able to network and connect and communicate with others, where pretty much essentially trying to add people where you can mentor from and where you can learn from, because there's a lot of people who are successful and who have the job of their dreams, and they have at some point they started somewhere, and the same thing goes for you too. So everybody starts somewhere, everyone has to begin at some point. So the best thing that you can do from this point on is just to gain as much knowledge from everyone around you, or even the people that you want to learn from, because essentially you're going to be able to figure out what skills you need to work on, or how you're going to improve, or what attributes can you learn to maintain a certain job profession, or to at least be able to be applicable for one. So there's that. And in the center of this, I'm going to go ahead and start from the top. So you have your introduction. You pretty much just talk about who you are, what you're studying. What I had put for mine, because I like my major so much, I emphasized that I'm a communication studies major with a concentration in human and organizational communication. And I also talk about how I utilize that major with my outside experiences. I had put throughout my academic and professional experiences, I emphasize the importance of communication studies with any and every interaction that I encounter. I value not only interpersonal communication, but group and organizational communication as well. Typically, individuals see communication as a verbal action. However, I like to consistently utilize and identify nonverbal communication as well as the importance of it. I use my knowledge of communication studies to enhance not only the quality of the interactions that I encounter, but also the communication I observe on a day-to-day basis. I cherish personal relationships, advocate for fairness, and encourage personal and professional development with not only myself, but others around me. So with the introduction, you want to give the public a glimpse of how you are, what attributes you may have, and how you utilize those attributes to your daily life. Um, as I mentioned, like, I love my major a lot, so I I make the effort to utilize the skills that I learned throughout my courses in my everyday life, whether it be me talking to a relative and engaging in that interpersonal communication, or understanding communication through conservative and liberal platforms. So understanding persuasion and rhetoric, are also forms of communication, and also utilizing communication in ethics. And I feel like with ethics, that's where the last sentence kind of comes more into play, that I cherish personal relationships and advocate for fairness. So you just want to make sure that you add something about yourself that you want to share with the public, but I would recommend that you state why you're studying what you're studying and what you hope to gain out of it. And that's where I would lead with that introduction. That would be somewhat of the route that I would lean towards. I'm not sure exactly what to put for the project for the introduction, um, but I will ask and see, and I'll get back to you. And if not, you can go ahead and reach out to me if that's something that you're concerned about. But I'm not sure what I would add. But if you have any suggestions, please feel free to let me know, because I would want to know the same thing. So for work experience, so right now, you can put a job that you're currently working. You can put an internship, a non-paid experience. You can go ahead and utilize that however you want. So for my portfolio, I had put that I'm a human resource intern. And I'm gonna be honest with you, originally when I had chose this major, I had chose this major with the intention of wanting to just graduate and then doing a master's in something else. However, now that the school year is coming close to an end for me, and I'm going to be receiving that bachelor's, I need to know how to utilize the things that I have learned in my communication studies to apply it to a human resources perspective, and utilizing those experiences and the knowledge learned for human resources tasks. So for here, I put the Prison Arts Collective advocates for the personal development of incarcerated individuals in a correctional institutions. PAC has developed various programs that show the importance of multidisciplinary acts and the enhancement of self-expression, reflection, communication, and empathy towards incarcerated individuals. Some of the human resource tasks include, but are not limited to, revising and enhancing policies and procedures, conducting an employee handbook for those who are hired in an organization, enhancing the importance of written and practice policies, project management, group communication, researching policies and other organizations, and analyzing different forms of organizational communication within those policies. So for this example, I know that typically when it comes to resumes and when it comes to any hiring platforms that we're supposed to use action verbs, this portion I had put as it because I am currently in this position, so I'm writing in present tense. I didn't think writing with action verbs was going to help me here because if I had utilized those action verbs, I felt like it would have sounded like I had already accomplished them. I haven't accomplished them yet, so that's the reason why I haven't done action verbs. But once I'm done with this internship, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to revise all this and put the things that I did accomplish within my time of being in this internship. So with one of the tasks that's going to help me with human resources is conducting an employee handbook. So with doing so, I'm going to have to learn how to structure certain policies. I'm going to have to figure out where these policies are coming from, knowing if they're going to be policies as practice or policies as written. And we're also, in a sense, we're utilizing ethics within this handbook. Because if, say, for example, something were to happen in someone that is part of this organization, that handbook is going to help them contact the people who are in charge if maybe they encounter an unfortunate event or they need to reach out to someone in charge. That handbook is going to have everything that they need in regards to phone numbers, emails, contacts, the policies that the organization itself has, and what current policies they have, and also what policies they are working on for the future. So that's where I would put this project. That's where I would put the handbook there. And for education, I don't know why this popped up twice, but I'm gonna go ahead and delete one. Okay, so for education, you can put where you're studying. You can go ahead and put the major, what kind of bachelor's degree, your GPA, and then you can add from when you started to where you're graduating. For the project, again, I'm not sure what I would put for education. I don't know if it would be just photos of the school or student involvement, but that's something that I would raise question to. And then also with courses, you want to add courses that I want to emphasize that we as undergraduate students, we take a lot of courses, and some might be just electives, some might be for upper division, some might be general ed, and we just feel like we're forced to take them just because. But I feel like with the courses that you add, you want to make sure that when you're going along with your undergraduate experience, you add classes that are going to help benefit your future and add what concepts you've learned within those classes and how you're going to utilize them to get to where you want to be with your professional career. Excuse me. So, for example, I had put my communication studies practicum in communication, and I had discussed what I did, and this I did put action verbs because I had already conducted it, and these are some of the tasks. But along with those tasks, I attached the project, which is the presentation for anatomy out of an interview. So that way, if recruiters want to see the work that I've done or why this project meant so much to me, not only are they going to be able to see it, but they're also going to be able to read more into detail why I was passionate about it and what I overcame and how I was able to use that skill and improve on it. Originally, when I did this project, I was scared to do it because I've never done an hour-long presentation before, and I've always had a fear of public speaking. But because I conducted this presentation, I was able to overcome one of my hardest quarters ever. And I had about 5 presentations that quarter. So doing that hour-long presentation really allowed me to utilize the skills learned from this and improve on this weakness that I have, even though I still continue to build on it. But it's just something that I'm really proud of because it's a sign for me, uh, a sign of personal development, because that's something that I've always struggled with. And then you're also able to add links too. I had put links from what I had put in that presentation, but just in case if the presentation is way too lengthy for the recruiters to read, the links are right there, so that way they get a sense of what resources I had put to allow my audience to understand what I was talking about. So there's that. And I feel like with the strengths that used with doing that presentation, the way that it would relate to HR is that sometimes human resources, they have to conduct orientation days, and they have to discuss what the organization is about, what their policies are, who they need to contact, the roles and positions that these employees play. So I feel like enhancing those skills for public speaking is going to allow me to better understand the orientation processes when and hopefully when I get the opportunity to become of a part of human resources. And then also I put organizational communication. I had put communication studies 421. Typically when we have the classes at CSUSB, they're shortened, but because you're able to add as many courses as you'd like, I don't want to make it just limited to CSUSB. So I had put not only the extended name, but I had put the name of the institution right after. So if recruiters were to look at the courses that I've taken and the skills that I've learned, they know where I learned it from. So just to not get it confused with just, say, for example, if I'm in grad school and this doesn't have the name of the institution, recruiters might think, oh, okay, well, she learned this at, at Cal State San Bernardino, or at Laverne, excuse me. So if I were to go to Laverne for my master's, they would say that. But it would be wise to just let the public and recruiters know that this is where you learned your skills from. And with communication studies for this specific class, I learned about policies as practiced and policies as written. So I feel like that's going to help a lot when I become part of human resources, or when I have the opportunity. I'm not only going to be able to identify policies as written, which means it's like, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll give an example of the two. So policies as written is a policy that is just pretty much on paper. It's straightforward, black and white. And policy as practice is the way that that policy is being utilized. So say, for example, for driving purposes, there's a speed zone of 25 miles per hour. So that would be the policy as written, because that is what's stated even in when you get your driver's permit, that's even stated in there. Or when you're reading the handbook to study for your driver's license, it'll tell you for the school zone, you cannot go more than 25 miles per hour, that you are limited to driving that much. However, policies as practice would be if someone were to go 45 miles past the school zone, which is not recommended, but there are some people that do that. So those are the two differences between the two. I've also with this class, I've also realized that with policies, they tend to be reactive. So Policies tend to happen when something bad happens. So, in a sense, when a person is in human resources, they try their best to come up with policies that are more proactive to prevent something bad from happening. But because typically the policies don't happen until there's an issue, that's when they're more reactive. Another thing that I have learned within this class is knowing the difference between uh, leadership. Um, so I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. So with different styles of, I guess, knowing how to. I'm so sorry, I lost my train of thought. So with this class, we talked about the differences between leadership styles and management styles. And I think that's super important because a lot of people just assume that management is, it's all about, just listening to what the boss has to say. It's very traditional. With certain organizations, it's more of like a top-down institution to where you have the workers, you have the bosses, you have the executives, and then you have the CEO, and then you have the founder, and it's just a level of organizational hierarchy, um, and typically they focus more on production rather than the people. Whereas being a leader would be more supportive. They'd be more open to ideas, and they focus on people, which is so important. And I think with those who are hiring within HR, they seek for people like that. That not only are their skills going to help the organization that they're trying to get hired in, but also to how the organization can better support the employees. And that typically does not happen. So for me to learn the difference between this, I want to make sure um, that when I get hired as an HR representative, that there are people who are able to trust me, and that I am able to help them with any resources that I can, and being someone who is in a positive light and helping them with their struggles, big or small. And and that's pretty much, I think, the main thing that I have learned about is also too, like, with organizational leadership is so important, because if it's not instilled and if it's not implemented in an organization, and there's more management style rather than leadership style within an organization, then that organization is going to lose those employees who bring value to the organization. So when someone is just being bossy and just being negative, employers aren't going to want to work for someone like that. So finding the differences between the two can be very beneficial. And I think that's one of the main things that I've learned about with organizational communication, is just knowing about how, about policies, different types of policies, knowing what works in an organization, knowing that with structure, there needs to be rules and resources in order to have a productive environment. But those were some of the key aspects. And then for programs, I have put Love Your Melon, and since this is one that I have previously volunteered for, I just put things that I conducted throughout my time there. So I had put created themes for tabling events, organized a tabling event, assisted with recruitment on campus, attended volunteering events to support those with pediatric cancer. So with human resources, there's different functions to human resources, and I feel like I would do well in talent acquisition, or even just I guess success or development. Sorry, I had lost my train of thought. So yeah, so I feel like I would work best with more so talent acquisition, and um, and I feel like by talking to different types of people and by recruiting people, I gain more experience when it comes to that. So I think, you know, doing these tabling events, talking to different people and having them know about the organization that we're supporting, I feel like that gives me experience to become an HR representative for being for more so emphasizing on talent acquisition. And also for the link program, I had put, again, I had put action verbs with this one because I had already conducted them. But for this current one, I'm currently volunteering for the link program. So I didn't put action verbs because I'm just on my way to completing these tasks and it's current. So I'm not sure how to go about and how to edit this, but I will be sure to let you all know. So for this, I put after completing my practicum course, I continue to be a part of the LINK program as a volunteer member. Current tasks include editing and revising biography handbooks, contributing to hiring questions, engaging in workshops, and participating in projects that could benefit the leaders that are hired into the program. Focused on implementing human resources tasks while contributing to the program's development. So volunteering for these 5 6 weeks, I had spoke with the founder of the program, and we had talked about what my tasks were going to be, and I had asked her if it was okay to focus on human resources tasks. And part of talent acquisition is knowing how to interview people. It's knowing how to conduct questions, and it's knowing also to how to facilitate those interviews as well. So for this, for example, I had put participating in projects that could benefit the leaders that are hired in the program. So, for example, it might not be HR related, but because this is a project that I'm doing to help you, I would go ahead and download this video and put it to the attached project because this is a project that I've conducted to help the link leaders understand how to use Portfolium, how important it is to use transferable skills and to also be up to date with the classes that you're taking and making sure you're utilizing the knowledge that you're using anywhere you go with what you want to be in the future. So with all of these are, I'm learning a little bit of skills with every experience that I have. So even though I am not an HR major at all, I am a communications major, but I'm utilizing my skills in communications to help me with tasks that are going to help me in the future. So, so like the things that I'm learning right now with my courses, my internship, my volunteer work, that's what's going to help me with where I want to be with my professional career. So the same like I mentioned before with policies in my organizational communications class, knowing about structure and how it governs organizations and people with their practices, and same thing with Link, how it's helping me with learning how to recruit individuals and also being as a source of support for link leaders and being someone to rely on and someone to have those skills of leadership. And those are things that I'm still trying to learn, and I'm trying my best, but it just, in order to improve on the skills, you have to have the experience needed to just keep improving. And I feel like because of what I want to be with human resources and being involved with talent acquisition and being a role model and being supportive and being someone to look up to, I felt like Link's mission corresponded a lot with that and who I am as a person. So that's why I love volunteering for Link. And the same again with my organizational communications classes, learning the difference between leading and managing, because those are two different things. And if I can get organizations to understand that the the value that employees bring to employers and knowing how to support them, then there's going to be more productivity and the employees are going to want to be there. And I think that's just really important because I'm sure we've all had experiences where we've we've worked for a certain organization and we felt like we weren't being listened to, or we weren't being supported, or we were just we weren't being acknowledged. And it was more of, instead of it being a learning experience with these organizations and companies, it was more of like a you go back to work, you do what I say type of thing, where it shouldn't be like that at all. And so this is pretty much my profile. Uh, I said it was going to be brief. I am sorry if it was longer than I expected it to be. But as mentioned, you can go ahead and edit as you go. You can add things to your portfolio. Same thing as you go along with your courses, but make sure that it's something that you're passionate about and something that you learn that you can utilize for the future. If you don't finish your portfolio, you can save it as a draft, but even after you publish, you're still able to edit regardless. For connections and suggestions, I'm I I what I'm recommending is that it would be best to just, polish up that profile, make it look presentable, make it attractive to recruiters, make sure that you put everything that you've learned, because with any place that you're trying to get hired at, there's a skill that they are seeking. And if you show them the skills that you have, that's going to make it easier, not just for the recruiters, but for yourself as well. So as you go along, like I said, this is all a learning process, it's a trial and error. But with time, it's something that's going to be, you know, it's going to be edited, it's going to be revised, and slowly but surely, your profile is going to be exactly what you want it to be. And by the time you know it, it's going to be ready and you're going to be able to connect and network with people that you want to learn from. And I think that's all that I have to share. If any of you have any questions or concerns or comments or suggestions, because I'm always open to hearing other people's opinions, please let me know. Please contact me at 004-36-15-77 at coyote.csusb.com, and I'd be more than happy to answer your questions or concerns. And also, I forgot to mention, because we were talking about action verbs and putting those in our profile, um, I had this sent from my professor who actually I took the organizational communication class from. Her name is Dr. Julie Taylor, and she had sent me an action verbs for resume sheet, and varies depending on the industry that you're working for. So like leadership and management, administrative and organizational, communication, interpersonal, all that good stuff. So if you are interested in this, please let me know. Feel free to contact me, and I hope to hear from you soon. All right. Thank you so much. Hope you all have a great day.